For years, when I shave in the morning, and yes, there are a few places on my face that I have to shave around my beard, I have done so without my glasses. Not surprising, as they just get in the way. They get all soapy and schmutzy, and usually so steamed up, I can't see out of them anyway. Well, in the past, not wearing my glasses had never really been a problem. At first, when I was younger, I had no trouble seeing my face in the mirror. Then, as the years have passed, I performed this morning ritual so many times that I've just about memorized every detail of my face. I've reached a point where I can give myself a decent shave even when I don't have a mirror handy. Then, when I finally do put on my glasses, I'm usually in my closet getting dressed for the day, never looking closely at my face. Well, something rather unsettling happened the other day. I noticed that it was harder for me to bring my reflection into focus. Somehow, no matter how hard I would squint, my face continued to be just a blur in the mirror. So I had the bright idea of putting on my glasses. Wow, what a difference! And then I started noticing a few things that were kind of unsettling. Over the years, as my body has aged, so too has my eyesight. Nothing new there. I've been reassured by doctors that this happens to everyone and not just to me. But suddenly, the face I remember, the way I used to appear in the mirror, has undergone some not-so-subtle changes. Little discolorations here, some distracting wrinkles there. The face that appears to me in the mirror is no longer the same face I remember. So even though everyone else has seen my appearance change over the years, for me, I was stuck in some 1970s time warp. Now, I see some of you understand. Okay. Now, you may be wondering why I'm telling you all of this. I mean, what does schmutzy glasses and shaving have to do with today's Torah portion? Well, let's turn to the portion for this Shabbat and see. The portion for this week is called Va'era, and he appeared. It opens with the words, Vaydaber Elohim el Moshe, Vayomer elav, Ani Adonai, Va'era el Avraham el Yitzchak el Yaakov be'el Shaddai, Ushmi Adonai lo nodati lahem. God spoke to Moses and said to him, I am the Eternal. I appeared to Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob as El Shaddai, but I did not make myself known to them by my name, Adonai. So, what's in a name? Well, the great bard answered in his play Romeo and Juliet by having one of the lead characters, Juliet, say, what is in a name? That which we call a rose, oh, come on, you can finish it with me, by any other name would smell as sweet. Right, I knew you could. So, when a Jewish child is born, the rabbis remind us of the Keter Shem Tov, the crown of a good name. We are given one name at birth, a second name we will be called by others throughout life, and finally, the name we have earned for ourselves at the end of our days. It is this name that can be greater even than the crown of Torah. The name by which we are called describes who we are and how we appear to ourselves. It is the name we choose to be called. The name we are called at the end of our days reflects how we appear to others. It is the name, like it or not, we have earned. So what's in a name? Well, in Jewish tradition, quite a lot. So, why did God reveal the divine name to Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob as El Shaddai, but not by the name we have come to associate with the divine creator, that of Adonai? According to the great Rashi, the name Adonai meant that God had fulfilled the divine promises in their lifetime, something which had not as yet happened in the lifetime of the patriarchs. But with Moses, God was revealed as Adonai because the fulfillment of the ancient promises were to come true in his lifetime. It was not until the promise of hope, deliverance, freedom, and the promised land were in sight before Adonai could be revealed to Moses and the Jewish people. Before we experience Adonai, we have to have, at the very least, that same sense of hope and promise in our lives. In each generation, the promise appears to us through the words of our tradition as the God of the generations who have come before us. That continuity of belief and moral guidance has become one of the most fundamental aspects of Judaism. That's Zimra. Isn't she lovely? At the same time, as this portion reminds us, God also appears to us in both a very personal and individual way. How we experience God and the world around us reflects how we respond to the world. What we sometimes forget is that this personal reflection of God does not remain static. How God appeared to me, the divine image I had of God when I was a young philosophy student in college, is not the same image I have today. That perspective, or appearance, if you will, changes over time as we experience life, perhaps even from one moment to the next. This personal image of God is closely tied to how we respond to one another. And how does God's promise of hope reveal itself in the world? Through us, through the efforts of everyone in the world. In 2 weeks, as our country, in the words of our Reform movement says, honors the memory of Reverend Dr. Martin Luther King, we have an opportunity to celebrate the strides our country has made in the ongoing struggle for civil rights, and a chance to pause and reflect on all of those who sacrificed their lives for the sacred cause of equality. The quote continues, but this day also provides us with another opportunity to renew our commitment to Dr. King's audacious vision of a world in which all of God's children, blacks and whites, Jews and Gentiles, will be able to join hands and sing in the words of the spiritual, free at last, thank God Almighty, we are free at last. And what was the promise of hope that the Torah reminds us this week? Through the words of Dr. King, we see this promise of hope revealed. While accepting the Nobel Prize for Peace in 1965, Dr. King said, I have the audacity to believe that peoples everywhere can have 3 meals a day for their bodies, education and culture for their minds, and dignity, equality, and freedom for their spirits. I believe that what self-centered men have torn down, men other-centered can build up. I still believe that one day mankind will bow before the altars of God and be crowned triumphant over war and bloodshed, and nonviolent redemptive goodwill will proclaim the rule of the land. I still believe that we shall overcome. Well, Adonai appears in the world when we, like Dr. King, bring the promise of hope to those whose lives are so downtrodden that they have abandoned all hope. It is this promise of hope, this great dream that guides us, that drives us to serve others. It is this hope that causes us to search our souls for ways to improve ourselves for the coming new year. It is this dream that drives us to make New Year's resolutions, to commit ourselves to the betterment of the world around us. So now, when I look in the mirror, even when I'm not wearing my glasses, what appears to me is a face that reflects a name that I am proud to wear, which bears the promise of hope. Adonai has made available to everyone. We only have to see it, accept it, experience it, and then bring it into the world. May this be one of our New Year's resolutions. Ken Yehi Ratzon. May this be God's will. Shabbat Shalom.